It's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, we'll call administrative committee meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ron Buchholz.
Present.
Tom Duffy. John Righeimer. Stacy Hessel. She stepped out, but she's here. You have a quorum.
Always here, that counts.
Next item is pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Number 5, certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and public as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 6, meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 7, public comment. Ms. Silmer.
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner, and I have 2 different areas for public comment. One is your agenda item number 9, the virtual meeting policy. I'm not sure what issues you will discuss, but from an observation standpoint, I think there's difference between participating in a committee meeting and whether there's a public hearing, such as in zoning. When there's a zoning hearing and there's a lot of materials to look at and possibly public testimony, I think there should be a higher requirement for in-person attendance and some rules set around virtual attendance. And the second comment area is about the audit and budget process. At the previous Finance Committee meeting, I made some public comment, and we'll repeat some of that here. And it's also a repeat of something I have said in previous years, that as a county board, I think the full county board should see a full audit presentation. What was presented at the Finance Committee was an overview of fund balances, and without going into a lot of details, kind of gave you an idea of where things sat at 12/31/2024. I also wanted to recognize the extreme comfort level I have in seeing how your administrative staff provides you with information. And I think they can actually be better utilized to help answer questions, to help you as a board make those policy decisions. And the budget is really a policy. You are representing your districts as far as what priorities will be funded through the budget. And with the reduction in number of audit findings and the capable staff, I would like to see if it's possible to have the audit report presented to you as a county board prior to, a month prior to the public hearing for the budget. That way you know where the fund balances are, because while on one hand it is nice to have a 60% unassigned fund balance, there's a number of ways you can look at that. And as I've made comments about the way the county has been borrowing and the large unassigned fund balance, I could also make a really good argument that property taxpayers are being overtaxed. So with having your previous year audit report available to you when you do your next year budget, the county board would be in a better position to be able to bring things more in line and act on more timely information. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody online? Number 8, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was November 6th.
I'll second. Go ahead, Mr. Regan.
Motion by Mr. Duffy, second by Mr. Righeimer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 9, virtual meeting policy. Thought we'd talk a little bit about reviewing that, how, if we want to change anything or if everything is okay.
Mr. Chairman, I asked you to put this on the agenda on these virtual meetings because I believe that they're being abused. They're not following our board policy procedures for doing virtual. And I think we need to make a change here. We should be attending all board meetings, committee meetings, or whatever in person. I know there's times when people can't make it, and I understand that they have jobs, and if you're being sick, you don't want to attend, or you can go on virtual. But I think we need to make a change here, and, because like I say, it's just getting abused. And I wanted to hear what the rest of the committee had to say, so.
Doesn't it still stand where you can only do 3 a year, or am I incorrect on that?
I believe it is.
I believe it is.
Is it being abused?
Yes.
Who keeps?
We're not gonna name names.
We're not gonna name names, no. I mean, we're not gonna name names, but, it is, 3 a year. But what it is, and I think a lot of these are doing, is that they don't wanna drive up here to Hayward to attend the committee meetings or county board meetings, which they need to be in person if all possible.
So the question isn't about changing the policy, it's about enforcing the policy that we
Right.
have.
I would like to see, and I would like to see this virtual policy go away. And if you want to come to your meeting, I mean, you're getting a per diem for it. Either you come or you don't. I guess, I just don't think the virtual is a way to go. Because if you listen to a lot of them, and especially in zoning, you can't understand what they're saying. It's hard to understand. You know, you don't know if you're making the right decision on listening to what they're having to say or whatever. But my feelings is, I think that we should somehow do away with the virtual policy.
I like the virtual policy as it stands with the 3, and maybe after 3, they don't get paid if they're virtual. So you still want a voting member, especially with quorum. I don't think that you want to take away that option. Sometimes I'm on the road for work, and I would feel bad if there wasn't a quorum because I wasn't able to Zoom in. But I do think that I agree with you, that it's getting abused, and maybe we just be more strong in our stance on, okay, if you do have the 3 and you get permission prior, that's how it's supposed to function. But are these new board members or any board member re-educated on what that Zoom policy is, what that virtual policy is? Because maybe they don't know, they just know that they're allowed to be virtual. But so maybe there's an education piece that is missing, saying, hey, you have to be here, you only can be on virtually for 3. So maybe it's on us that we haven't made that clear of what the expectations are of the board.
I was just going to echo most of that I'm in agreement with what you're saying, Ron. My concern would be quorum. My guess is also that they're doing virtual because they don't feel like driving here or don't want to be here. And if, I don't think they're doing it for the $50, but then they just wouldn't show and then we're not going to have quorum. That'd be my only concern.
Yeah, I agree with that, and then, like Stacy mentioned too, yes, I can understand when you travel out for work that you can't be here, so Zoom is an option because you want to participate. But I'm just gonna say this again, that if you look at our board policy and procedures, it is being abused. They do not call in and get permission from the chair or Liz that there could go to Zoom. Goes same way with the committees. They should be getting a hold of the committee chair and whoever takes the minutes or what for that should be letting them know. So I think we need maybe to somehow look about tweaking this then a little bit to make sure that it's not getting abused.
Yes.
I think the benefit too of being, if you're at most meetings, I think especially for new supervisors, I know I found, I didn't really feel comfortable or really in my stride until close to the end of my, year and a half into it. And I think you learn more as a new board member if you're present than online. So there's a benefit, there's an education benefit too, especially if you're new and you're only coming online most of the time. I don't know how you ever get your stride going. So I think there's something to be said for that too. But I don't know, if they have to, lack of a better way to say it, get permission or notification, do you think that might, like you're saying, that might encourage them to come? I mean, it's a lot easier, it's not, well, I shouldn't say, it's not super hard, they could still say, oh, I don't want to come, but if you don't have to give any notification, I guess it's easy to, the morning of, to go, I'll dial in.
They do currently have to get notification, that's in the bylaws, and they're supposed to tell us. And then also, I am required to put in the minutes, and I'm not actually doing this all the way, but this is a deterrent factor. I'm supposed to put whether they were excused or absent, and then why. And which is, look, that's getting over the line to me, why there's, was sick, or wife died, or, that's like personal at that point, but that's actually in the bylaws, that the reason should be stated why they missed. Now, if the reason is didn't feel like coming, but that has me putting that in the minutes, but that is there, so someone must have anticipated that would be a deterrent if you had to actually say why. I don't know, I'm just saying, that's already there without changing anything.
So do you all agree that if they don't follow the procedure, they don't get paid? I like that idea, it's some penalty. So if you have a legitimate reason, there's a way out. But if there isn't, they just don't show up, you shouldn't be paid for it.
Well, they're not.
Can I make a suggestion, please?
Yes.
We're gonna put together the agenda for the full county board. Maybe the section of our rules, Liz could put on the top of the virtual and have that right on the top of the agenda that's sent out, or it doesn't have to be on the agenda itself, it could be on the email, and there's agenda attached. But that way it'd be fresh in everybody's mind.
So when I send the agendas out, I could just automatically include a line in that, if people are reading my emails, that says that policy, remember you need to be excused if you're not attending, something like that. I can start by doing that, that might help.
Maybe just, the policy's only a paragraph long, maybe just put the policy right in there, perhaps.
Well, that's not something we need to vote on, I can just include that in my emails. I can start doing that now if you want.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
if that's acceptable.
Yep, that's fine, and I would also suggest it's not for the county board agenda, but for all committee agendas, have that put on there.
Good, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just meant they're gonna put the agenda
Right,
together.
yeah, so.
Yeah, Stacy,
Yeah, I just think, if we have policy and procedure, if they're not being followed, then that's what concerns me most. And then, so let's say they don't get permission, then what's the recourse? So I think we have to make sure that we're enforcing what's already in place instead of trying to change what's in place if we're not even enforcing it.
So how do you enforce it?
Well, I think you're our new bouncer. No, I don't know. I mean, what is the repercussions? That's, that's where I think we have to have it black and white. It can't be gray. Because if they say, well, yeah, I didn't get permission, what are you gonna do? I think that those are the things that, it's just like having a kid. You say no, but then what are the repercussions?
Well,
Go ahead.
you certainly wouldn't pay, but I have a hard time believing that would matter. I think the issue is they don't want to come, or they can't come, or don't want to come for whatever reason. So then it becomes back to the quorum piece, right? I mean, like I know, like business or like last time I can remember I did this was from vacation. I would rather have not been on the call. I felt compelled to be on it. But I mean, if there's quorum, I'd prefer not to be on the call when I'm on vacation. I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't on that call on vacation because I wanted to get the $50. It was because I thought, well, I should be there, in some shape or form. So I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm babbling on is how do you enforce it? I don't know. Do you have a talk with them or, my concern is too, we have a hard time sometimes filling open seats, when you have to place somebody. And,
That's what I was just gonna say.
one of the sell points is, well, you don't have to come.
That's not a selling point, but I think.
Well, I have actually said that to people, like, well, if you can't make it, I mean, you can do a Zoom meeting, because everybody's so busy and important, right?
No, I think if, we do have a hard time getting people to run for election, but if you make it easier by saying, these are the rules that you have to follow, are you willing to do that? Instead of, I wouldn't agree with your marketing effort on that, but I think just having it black and white and having that, it's very important that you're here. People make the drive all the time, and I think that we can encourage that, but also say this is how we're enforcing the rules. I think it's a great idea what you're asking Liz to do.
But I think when you say, they don't. the
Turn your
few that
mic
don't
on.
follow the- The few that don't follow the rules, I don't think we can say they don't come because they don't know the rules. They
Well-
decided not to come, you know?
So let's just get it out in front of everybody, remind them and see what happens.
See where it goes.
And with the election in April, being very diligent on saying these are your expectations, so.
I have one other question, I guess, is, in the bylaws, if you miss 3 or more meetings per year, it's grounds to be removed for not attending at all, for people that just don't show up, which we have had that too.
Right.
And then nothing happens. And then other board members get disgruntled, and it lowers the morale and the efficiency. So then where is the line between someone who's always either inclined to not show up, or they just get on Zoom and then they're still basically hardly even participating at that point? We have all these resolutions with blank signature lines, even though you had a quorum vote for it, it doesn't look like it later in the record because they're not signed because the person wasn't there that night. So it's things like that, you know? There's a reason to be here and put your signature on the paper so that in the historical archives, we see who did policies. And you know, there's nothing in there to say the person was virtual. Now, you could say, can we sign for you if you were virtual? Do we have your permission? I mean, what do we do there? But it opens up this whole can of worms where they're not participating all the way. It's a partial participation. If it's a pattern, repeated pattern.
But some of that's up to the district to be aware if the person isn't participating, but that usually doesn't happen either. But all valid points, we'll try to amend it the best we can to move forward. And if anybody else has suggestions, feel free to comment.
Well, I would think that just when those people are running, letting the people know that their elected official is not showing up for meetings, that might take care of itself.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody, yeah.
And that's just the reason why I wanted to bring this to you guys today, because there's a lot of good input here. And I noticed it just was being abused, and I wanted everybody to be aware of it, which I want to thank you for all your input on this.
Thank you for contacting me to get on the agenda. Very good. Number 10, County Clerk report, please.
So you guys have my written report. It's just the standard. The dog license program goes offline for a month while they convert over to the next month. That's the vendor that does that. Everything else is just normal. So I've been gearing up for elections. There are 4 elections in 2026. We got all the towns to convert over to that machine. The company was great. They came, they brought cookies. We had a full training session. Everyone who attended that's getting 2 hours of credit for election training. They all seem to be pretty happy with it. We made sure people got their machines delivered if they couldn't get them home. And I haven't had any questions yet about that, but that should make election night processes easier and more efficient. That machine's easier to use and overall more reliable. So that was a big development. That's taken care of now. Laura's getting ready for end of year processes, the W-9s from the vendors that we didn't have. She's taken in hundreds of those now and for doing 1099s in January. So we're working with Randy and trying to get our end of the finances up to speed. And she's still doing the resolutions. So that's kind of what we have going on in our department. Next request is going offline on the 15th. So the link to it will be taken off the website and replaced with instructions to contact the department. And the only plan that we really have for that is that Sheriff's Department is doing their own like they always used to. And they already had a great process and they're going back to it. For the courthouse, I will continue to field any requests where people don't know who to contact. They'll come through me and I'll distribute them to the departments. And as far as tracking, people just have to be on their own professional development level to know what to do with that. So I don't know if that's an item we want to add as like part of a department head meeting or staff training, just to give people, maybe make up a generic spreadsheet and say, please enter stuff in this. Going forward, so we can track it. But, you know, everyone, from what I can see on Next Request, everyone's really responsible. Like we get TRH requests, so Matt McKay handles those. They come in, he gets the information, he sends it out. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to do anyway. I don't see where you have to remind people or they don't know what to do. they all seem to know what their jobs are and to do that. So I don't think we're going to see a big interruption. The main thing is the messaging. So we have to get the website having the right message on it so that people know what to do if they're looking there. Otherwise, we just get phone calls and counter traffic requests. Most of us get that anyway. So that's where that stands. Do you have any questions about that?
Not about that, but how many dog owners license their dogs?
All of them.
You would have to know the gross number of dogs in the county with paws on the ground, and then have to know what fraction of them are street legal. I don't have that information. Most people are very diligent. They love their dogs and they want to take care of. So a lot of people love coming in to get their dog license, and they want to show us the picture of their dog on their phone. We have to listen to all the dog stories and see their pictures and everything. And they enjoy that because the dog is like a child to them. So they feel good about getting that dog tag. And it's only $10 or $15 if they're not fixed. So most of the people, it's not a hardship. We've had people starting to come in already. They get right in there right away to get their dog tag for the next year. So it's not really a hardship for people. They seem to enjoy it.
Oh, do the vets help us out, or?
Leading Edge does distribute tags. This year, some of the towns have gone away from it because it's just an additional burden for them. So the towns that do it, you can get it from your town clerk till the end of April or March 31st. I think after that, the county takes over. So we're doing most of them after April. People have to come up here, but it's good customer service because, they come to our counter, they get to talk to us. They usually have other questions. Sometimes we show them how to use land records, Novus. They can ask the treasurer a tax question. They can ask Register of Deeds. Our department is kind of welcoming to all the people now. So when people come in, they kind of spend time there and they look around and they ask, they think of things they always wanted to know about the county. And so we do a lot of that customer service. And sometimes it's just coming in for the dog license that leads to those conversations. We have coffee, actually. We gave the FedEx guy yesterday, he wanted cookies. We always have food there, so it's sort of a social spot, but it's been working out great.
Is there a partnership that we could do with the Humane Society too, since they have so many animals there, or?
I don't know why that hasn't ever been done, and I don't know if it has to do with state statutes. I mean, they're a nonprofit. That's different than a vet. I don't know the answer to that. So they do report to us if they get an unlicensed dog, and they work through Chaz with that. So what you guys are asking about revenues and things for the dog pound, or what happens to those dogs. Usually, the first goal is to reunite them with the owner, because when it's a county employee, which she's a code enforcement officer, she's picking up the dog in a location and she can guess around there, like maybe where the owner is, and she works to try to get the dog back to the owner. Then when that doesn't happen after so many days, they go to the Humane Society if they'll take them. Once in a while, they have to euthanize a dog, but it's not very often. But what ends up happening if they pick your dog up and they can't find a license, they license your dog, they do a bunch of stuff to get your dog legal, and then you have to pay for that. So even though the fine for a dog off leash isn't that high, there's a lot of other costs. You have to pay for the boarding and all the stuff. So she provides food and blankets, and I don't even know if they do vaccinations, but that would be a good question to ask Chaz at one of her reports, public safety, what they do for the dogs. Because that's kind of an expense that we have, but also it's a service we're providing. And then that piece of how that connects to the Humane Society would be a really good thing to identify. Because then if it would benefit them to sell tags, we could do that. But we report through a state reporting program that's like Vital Records. So we have to track the vaccine lots. And that's the whole purpose of it, really, is the rabies vaccine. If you have a bad batch of vaccine and there's a rabies outbreak, that's the state database for the location and which dogs got that vaccine, so they know to give them a different one. So that's really the purpose of it, not really it's not a tax as much as it is to track the rabies.
Yeah, so, Liz, too, I know a lot of the townships now are dropping out of them issuing dog licenses. Is that gonna be much of a burden to you when it comes?
No, the state statute allows the towns to sell dog tags, and they get to retain 25 cents per dog tag. The treasurer personally, not the town. So if they want to take on that, they get to make a little bit of money on the side, which is a strange statute. But really, the program's administered through the county for the purposes of making sure the database is complete. So even when they do it, the record still goes through us. We're still processing 100% of them. They all go through our system, But those people have a sign-in that they're allowed to enter data into. But at the end of the year, Laura does an annual report out to the state, just like all these other agency reports that you tell the state how many and which ones, and they have all that data. So they go through us anyway. So whether the treasurer or some, it's more that the people in the town are inconvenienced if they can't go pick it up locally and they have to come to the county to get it. So that's a question for their elected representatives, right? If you have an elected treasurer and they're offering that as customer service, that's good for the people. If they stop doing it and the people have to come all the way to the county, then they might not be so happy with their town services.
Yeah, because I know on our last town board meeting, our treasurer said that she doesn't want to do it anymore because the 25 cents is a kick in the butt compared to all the other work you got to do. So I'm just wondering about that. And then about the Chaz and the vaccinations, can you put that on the Public Safety Committee agenda for me?
Tom, do you still want to get a dog? All right, thank you. Number 11, Veteran Service Report. Gary,
Good morning.
good morning.
So for November, our office had 424 phone calls, 655 letters, emails, and faxes, and 160 office visits, of which 88 were walk-ins. So over half. That's pretty much what we figured. For a workload perspective, in November of 2024, we had 408 calls, 731 letters, and 228 office visits. So the disability compensation and pension claims, we rolled in 170 disability claims up to 1 December. And we had retro payment to our veterans of over $500,000, and we're still moving forward. Initial immediate financial impact comparisons, and last year was about $432,000 in retro and 209 claims. So let's see, La Crosse Vet Center, we're still hosting individual and group counseling sessions. We had 3 individual and 2 group counseling sessions last month. And as far as outreach, we had coffee and conversation on the first Wednesday of the month. And our office advertised and attended multiple Veterans Day events for November. And social media recap, 214 followers. We went up 84 visits. We were down 20% on that. And 91 contact interactions with, that was down 19.5%. And 2,833 views, which was down 25% as well. Our training is up to date. We remain busy. Sorry about walking. I was really close. I was worried that the meeting was going to start, but I was headed out the door and had to do a 180 with a veteran out on my trail that needed help. So, yeah, we're very busy. With the walk-ins, like I said, we're going to start tracking them as part of the strategic plan. And I think what we're going to do, well, I don't think, this is what I've done is Wednesdays of each week, we're going to try to shut that down as an administrative day to catch up on paperwork. We've been slowly matriculating backwards as far as getting stuff out quickly, and the walk-ins are killing us, basically. I'll be knee-deep into a complicated claim for a veteran, and then somebody walks in, and if nobody's sitting in front of you, you're not working. So at least that's the mindset. So anyway, we need to calm the waters. I want to catch back up to where we should be. It's not that we're behind, but I don't like where we're headed, and I don't want to get behind. So we're going to start doing that on Wednesdays. We're not taking out our coffee and conversation on the first Wednesdays. We're still doing that, but after that, we're going back to managing our paper and getting our veterans' claims submitted. Basically, if we have an intent to file, we have 1 year to do the bid to get the claim in, but I don't like it sitting there. So if we can get it done, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it out and get the veteran moving forward. So I guess that was one benefit. We've seen it happening. It's been happening for years, you know. And for years, we've had discussions, the office has had discussions on how we're going to manage that. And it's going to be hard because veterans have had their way, basically. They walk in, they get service, and they walk out. And what we're trying to do is push them to appointments, and so we can manage, be ahead of them. And a lot of times when I do have appointments, I get the paperwork done, front-loaded, so when the veteran comes in, instead of 1 hour, it's 15 minutes, and then I can go back to doing our administrative paperwork, the stuff that is a little harder, a little more complicated to do. Questions?
I'm just gonna make a statement. I think that it's great that how that you help and you guys do drop everything when people walk in, but your office is not set up for anything but walk-ins.
There is no screening. Yeah, there's no screening, and there's really, unless we put a wall up, which I don't want to do, you know, you would have to do a physical barrier to do that. So yeah, we're in a fishbowl. So, and you can see the fish, but
Confidentiality issue also, I would assume, because you walk in and you see everybody that's in there, you see everybody that's in your office.
yeah, maybe.
Okay.
They could be, they want to come talk about their Aunt Mary. I don't know. But we try to watch what we're doing as far as confidentiality goes. But anyway,
Keep up the good work.
yeah. Any questions?
Stay warm. Thank you for all you do.
Yep,
Stay
you're
warm.
welcome. You're
Are you, so the American Legion put out all of their wreaths last Saturday at the Greenwood Cemetery in Hayward. So they did their own wreath laying. And then at the State Cemetery this Saturday is the Wreaths Across America, and they'll be laying wreaths at the cemetery in Spooner, correct?
If you say so, I'm not sure. I
Oh.
haven't seen anything on it.
Oh,
haven't seen anything
I
on
get
it.
the updates, so I apologize. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
that's
But
okay.
it's, the wreath laying is at 9:30, and then the ceremony is at 11, dress warm.
Would it help to put a little notice in the local newspaper stating your hours?
We
Maybe.
can, I think we got it corrected on our website already. You know, we could, but everybody is important, you know? And I mean, everybody's important
Yeah, I understand.
in their heads and in our heads, but sometimes it priorities, yeah. They want service and they're gonna get it,
Thank you.
yes.
All right. Number 12, Veteran Tribute Update. Mr. Markren.
Don't have a lot to update here. I've reached out to SEH to do phase 2 of the screening, and that will be done, completed in a day. I did ask for an update on when that will be completed, both when they'll be on site and when we would get the report back. So that's really all I've got right now.
Did it give you a date or anything?
Not yet, no.
Anybody else have anything?
No.
Number 13, Information Technology Report. Mr. Colson.
So last month, a couple of questions came up that I unfortunately wasn't here to answer, so I thought I'd give you a little update here. First thing that came up was some monitors that were in the ADRC office for a while. So I talked to Carrie Mann. She mentioned that those monitors were purchased with grant funding, so it wasn't any kind of a levy. So the purpose of those monitors was to display ADRC content in the senior resource centers around the county. So and due to logistics, they didn't get installed in time, and we're still working on getting them installed. So I told Carrie that I'd work with Joey at the senior resource center to get those up and running. So she said after Christmas, we'll roll those all out to the Hayward and then the remote offices. So it's in the works, and then they were purchased with grant dollars. Any questions on that? Then the next issue that was discussed was meeting recordings, the Zoom. And just a little bit of background on how long we've been doing this. I'd like back in, since 2011, we've been posting the audio at least for our board meetings and committee meetings. And then it was correct due to COVID. So in March 2020, we started posting the video on Zoom along with the audio. So we've been doing it a while. And we just want to acknowledge the concern that was raised, and it's valid. These could be used for AI fakes. They could be altered, or more likely, they could be used to create a new fake template. And that's just the nature. Anybody could grab a recording, alter it, and so forth. So it is a concern. And so I just thought I'd lay out some options, and whether you want to take any actions or have any other questions, that's going to be completely up to you. So we do broadcast on Zoom the live meetings, and for the county board, we also broadcast live to YouTube. So that's one component. People are able to access remotely live, and then of course recording. So, well, if we want to have some options, I thought I'd just lay out a few here that are on my report. We could make it invitation only for the live access. You have to be, authenticate yourself. Maybe we could just do audio only as another option, go back to that. We could just decide not to post it on Zoom at all, or we could just make remote participants have to call in. That might be another option to reduce the possibility that somebody's going to alter the contents. So those are just a couple of things, or several things that we could do if you wanted to delve further into that. And then for the recordings themselves, well, right now, of course, you're all well aware we post the audio as well as the video. It's out there on YouTube, which, by the way, is free for us. There's no cost to the county for posting on YouTube, which is awesome. But we could, if you wanted to, we could limit the accessibility of those. We could make it available to staff only, and then they could use those to supplement their minutes, and that's done quite frequently by Department of Zoning for sure. Kathy, I know, uses the recordings to double check what she heard during the meeting. Another option we could, if we wanted to secure it, we could make it in a proprietary format where you have to use a special player that would prevent downloads. And so that's one option. So, or just continue unrestricted. So those are just a few things that came to my mind on what we could possibly do if there is some action you wanted to take. There might be more options that I didn't consider, didn't think of, that maybe you have some questions on. So I just wanted to lay out those just to validate your concerns that there is a possibility that people could use it for nefarious purposes, and depending on what you want to do, we'll try to accommodate that.
Thank you. Questions?
I don't have a question. I'm just, back to our point of being present for meetings. Whatever we choose to do would want to validate the policy for being present for meetings. So, I would support making it the recording accessible to staff only, and not having it on YouTube. I think that's what I would support, but that's just me.
Not having it on YouTube?
No, the alternative is recording accessible by staff only. So then it wouldn't go on YouTube, correct?
Right. Well, technically, it would be unlisted. There would be a special link that we'd make available only to staff. Or we could make it private altogether. So, yeah. In effect, it would be hidden, not available to the public.
Well, and I applaud transparency, so it's not like I don't want it to be available to the public. I don't agree with it putting it on YouTube. So I don't know how else you get around that, but.
What does option 4 look like? Do you have any kind of a cost estimate for that?
I'm sorry, what was the what?
Option 4 under
option.
recordings, the encrypted.
let's see, an alternate player. It wasn't expensive, I think, anywhere from several $100s a year to $1,000 a year, something like that.
Mr. Duffy, you got a comment? Mr. Buckles?
Yeah, maybe we should put this back on the agenda to discuss. I mean, we talked about it at one time. I think it was the last meeting, wasn't it? And maybe we need to discuss this again with the options it might give us.
We can certainly put information technology and list the 4 options.
Yeah.
And that way the public's aware of what we're looking at.
So if this isn't on YouTube, does this mean that like a citizen can't view the meeting, even when it's going on live? Or is that a separate subject?
Well, that's why I listed out the two things that have to be considered, the live meeting as well as the recordings. And we-
So they are two separate things,
They're
I'm
two
sorry.
separate things,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Could
Yeah, I mean,
someone,
as long as they're able to see it live, yeah, I don't know why would somebody would go back. I understand that, that's
could someone download the live meeting and do the same thing?
that's always a factor, yes. They certainly could. They could record it to their phone and then, make it available through their own means. So that's, sure. Anytime it's available electronically, I mean, even in person, they could make a recording. So that's just, modern technology makes things so easy to do by anybody.
Ms. Klein?
The statutes from my job are, there's a destruction of records of recordings, audio recordings of meetings of 90 days when they're taken for the purpose of minutes. So if I were to be recording this meeting so that I could go back and transcribe it, I'm allowed to destroy that recording with 90 days later. There's no requirement that we have a permanent archive of every spoken word and video of us talking at meetings. That's not part of the statutes. The statutes allow you to move forward and not have that whole library of videos. So I'm just telling you that from my perspective.
But once it's on YouTube, it's on YouTube. So that's where the.
We're not
hiccup is.
obligated to do that, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I would like it not to be on there. If we're not obligated to do that, we're doing it to set ourselves up for having something happen in the future. But
Let's do that, let's put it on next month. You list the options, the public will know what we're doing, and we can take action if we so choose. Okay, thank you, Mike. Anybody else have any, you have more?
Just the rest of my report. As you can see, we completed 39 service requests. We installed some more video surveillance cameras in the jail. And then for the Child Support and Justice Point hallway, there was a door that was not under surveillance before. The Sheriff Department has a new app for smart devices showing their jail roster, so we helped get that set up. And I think they advertised that at the public safety meeting, and it's on their Facebook page too. Yeah, so that shows pretty much in real time the jail population as well as other sheriff forms and information. And then last month, we helped about more than a dozen highway road staff, the road crews, to get their emails finally on their phones and their computers. So that was kind of an issue for some of our administration staff to say. We always tell them, check your email. I don't have email. Well, now they all do, so that's done.
Thank you for that.
I have a question for you. It seems like there's a lot of requests coming from HHS each month. HHS, sorry. Is it just a hiccup with their computers? Is there something bigger that we should know about?
I don't think it's anything that they're doing and no additional, there's no problems that aren't, that we won't see in any other department, just they have more staff. That's kind of what it turns out to be. They're, 60 or so staff members. And a lot of it, it's any issue you can think of. Help when they're remote, they can't access our network. The computers freeze up, they need to be replaced, training, installing software, just the usual stuff. But I don't think there's anything specific to their department where they need additional help more than others.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Welcome.
Thanks, Mike.
Number 14, Human Resource Report. And we have a report from Ms. Lily Root. Any questions, anything you want to add?
I would just add that, knock on wood, we're pretty well staffed. For the last 6-8 months, we've been doing all right. It was, for my first 3 years here, it was a bit of a struggle. We had a lot of vacancies, and that's gotten much better.
Why is that?
Why it's gotten better? Well, there's an attraction to the stability of a public job. I think that, the last few years, you can make so much more in the private that people were gravitating that way, but now that's a little more uncertain, I feel. So that could contribute to it. Yeah, it's been good for us.
Thank you. Number 15, County Administrator Report.
All right, a few things I'll mention. Under personnel, putting together an all-staff training day. It'd be in-service combined with wellness. And for wellness, it'd be physical, emotional, mental, and financial. So kind of the whole person is what we're looking at doing. Working on getting a keynote speaker in, doing some updates on some training, and just hoping to make it a good day. It's really hard to schedule these because all of our windows have to be open. So we have to find a day that is a state holiday that the courthouse people work, but the courthouse might not be open or we could close. So that's kind of what makes it a little difficult. Want to give out a thank you to maintenance staff for keeping the sidewalks clear. We had quite a storm over Thanksgiving break and they came back to that and got it cleaned up really pretty quickly. And the highway department as well, keeping our roads safe and clear. Under economic development and marketing, last week, I believe it was, we went, a few of us were actually there to the semi-annual Northwest Regional Planning Commission meeting. And one of the speakers was Carson Kipfer from the Lumber Exchange. And he just gave an update, and a lot of us know a lot about it already, but it was really nice to hear his vision for it and how he came up with the vision, how he wants to honor Sawyer County Hayward roots in it. He spent, I think he said 2 weeks in the Sawyer County Historical Museum, just gathering data and pictures to try to pay homage to the history and make the building look like it's always been here. What was really neat about what he said was there were several counties represented there, and he had a lot of questions, and every county represented wanted something like that in their own county. So I know a lot of us, not a lot of us, but some people have said, well, what is this and what does it mean and what's really going to happen there? And he laid all that out, and after hearing it, every other community wanted something similar. And actually hinted at him doing it, and he's like, well, we haven't even opened this one yet, let's see how it goes. And he's got ties to Sawyer County as well, so I don't know that he's going to go do this all over the state, but it's definitely a good idea, and I hope he does well. It's going to be a great addition to downtown. It's going to be an energizing force, if nothing else, and just hope a lot of great ideas come out of there. You get a lot of very smart people doing remote work, get them in one area, lots of ideas can happen that could be good for the county. So that's my biggest hope. He's a tech guy, and he created an app that's very widely used and sold it, and so he's in that tech industry and rubs elbows with the people that he's trying to reach, and yeah. Beyond that, the Alliance has done a great job getting the trails ready again. Again, that, we had that big snowstorm right away, very heavy, wet snow. I think they've spent about, will or have spent about $60,000 cleaning up from that. So it was a huge storm, and a lot of volunteers, several private businesses have offered to volunteer at no cost to get things cleaned up. So just wanted to shout out to them too. That's a pretty big deal. Very important for our economy again, keeping those remote businesses with people going there with the trails. So I'm really grateful for that. Under finance, the apportionment and levy limit have both been filed with the DOR. I always like to get those done as early as I can. They're both in early. Wasn't quite as tight for the apportionment this year. Last year, I think I had to do it that night after the meeting because it was due the next day. Strategic planning, so you know the process we've been through. The committees all looked at what they wanted for their departments of jurisdiction to look at. All that was combined. The county board came up with the top 5 areas of focus. That was brought back to department heads in a department head meeting. And then they all turned in department goals around those to me. And I'm still looking through those, working with department heads if we need to make any tweaks. But I'm really satisfied with the results we're getting. I think it's going to be a very, very good project or product at the end. I'm hoping to have a final write-up for the January board meeting. So I'll bring it here first. Again, just really good ideas have come through. Some of you heard Public Works, what John is looking to do with the highway. Very good report. Also at HHS Tuesday night, Julia laid out hers. So very, very good things are coming through and measurable. Because I asked for not only your goals, but how you're going to measure those as well. So we looked at SMART goals, which are, I want them to be achievable, I want them to be measurable, and I want a timetable. Those are 3 of the components, and so we're getting all of those. The contracts for service, I put them out to our 5 partners that we fund, give some county apportionment to. Senior Resource Center, the fair. I have not received contracts back from them, but I have received them back from Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau, Chamber, and the Sawyer County LCO Economic Development Corp. They have all already sent their contracts back signed, so that's good. I am requiring that for 2026 funding, that they return a contract.
The chamber is a partner?
Not the chamber.
No, okay. The library?
No, because that's a statutory. What was the other one? Transit, sorry.
Transit, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Transit
wanted
returned
you
theirs as
to
well.
make sure you had that recorded correctly.
Well, I was down in that building, seeing Mindy and getting it signed up, so I was confused, sorry.
Hey, Mike, that's for 26?
That's for 26,
And that's Senior Resource Center Library?
not library. 'cause
Library doesn't do
that's a
that.
statutory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did Senior Resource Center do one in 25?
Nobody did one. Well,
Nobody.
Hayward Lakes did one, yes. And actually, Economic Development returned theirs too.
Is there a reason they don't like returning them, or they don't get to it?
It was something Andy was working on, and then he left mid-year.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Gotcha.
So I didn't really enforce it because we didn't do it prior to 2025. So this one is prior to 2026. I'm asking for return contracts in order to get the funding.
Gotcha.
Can you do a contract for the additional funding with the library? So I know it's state statute, but if we're gonna give over 100,000 for the additional, shouldn't they be considered a partner? Because that's a lot of,
I can do that if that's the committee's wishes.
I'm just asking that seems like more than we're giving the other partners.
It is more than some of what we're giving, yeah. That would also include the winter library then, because they get additional funding. As far as connections, I do a weekly call with Actually, it's statewide administrators, but there are only about 15 on the call, and most are regional. And it's kind of hosted by Price County, but we do get some from down south, Grant County, which is about as far as you can get away from here, is on the call. And then Friday, tomorrow, we've got the Region 1 meeting, which was going to be live in Altoona, now it's just Zoom because not enough people responded wanting to go to my old stomping grounds. Yeah, so I was a little bummed when it was just made a Zoom, but that's all right. And then Public Radio Network, no real new progress, nothing new to report, I mean. Work is underway, still don't have a signed MOU with LCO for their tower. Otherwise, everything else is moving along smoothly.
Are they willing now to cooperate?
They were very willing when we met, I just haven't heard back. And I have reached out a couple times, but
Do you have a time zone on this? How long are you gonna sit and wait?
it's not holding up yet. It could get to a point in the spring where it would be holding up. And for sure, we're hoping to complete in the summer, and if we don't have anything, then it's really holding it up.
Because if we don't get that tower, then we have to put up our own tower, right? Is
We
that-
would have to look for an alternative.
what
That
I
tower is, obviously is pretty central, and
Right.
it's very important to the project because it's one of the pieces that gives us redundancy in, kind of the main hub of the county. Otherwise, the ones are remote, so it's only one way back and forth. This one, if one tower goes down, we might be able to go back, the back way.
Doesn't it benefit their law enforcement?
It does,
And
yep.
so that would be you'd
The-
think that would be a selling point.
The holdup is before we even approached them, they were working with another cell phone carrier. So what's happening is the engineering of their tower, it's big, it's not huge by today's standards. And also the reinforcement, because you add more receptors on there, you're getting more wind resistance. So there could be some engineering to add some additional tie downs, more additional base of the tower itself. So that's where it's at. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Board Appointment Committee updates. Stacy, what's going on out there in the world? What's going on out there in the world?
Haven't been to subcommittee since last month.
I don't remember last week, I'm sorry.
Number 17, correspondence reports, conferences, future agenda items. So we'll have IT with some options on it. Anybody else have anything, or if you think of something? Yes.
So I was researching for a resolution, and it came to my attention that it's posted, and correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, but it's posted as a approved resolution. There's a couple different ones that show that it was approved, but I can't find that it was approved by the county board, just in committee. So our resolutions that are just approved in committee but not the county board, should they still be posted?
I think so.
But it was signed by the chair. This is a timeframe of 2021 to 2023, signed by the chair and the clerk, but it didn't go to the full board.
Some things just need to only go to committees. Some things don't have to go to the full board. And right now, I can't think of an example, but we had one here just a month or two ago.
This was a Wakeport resolution, just so that you're aware. And so there's a lot of people using that as an example of a resolution and said that it was passed by the county. I said, it was not. I can't find it in any record that we passed it as a county, but it was passed in a different, it was land, water, and forestry. So I was just confused that why, it seems like it's misrepresenting the whole county board if there's resolutions posted. So that was just my concern that I thought we should all be aware of if we get asked about different resolutions. And then when you look it up, you're like, we didn't vote on that. It's not in anything. So,
Since I've been here, we haven't, if it's only through a committee, we wouldn't have the
posted it.
chairman's signature on it or the clerk. It would just be the
Right.
committee signatures.
Right. So that's where I was confused, because I didn't think that
But
that
this-
was protocol.
This one had the chair and the county clerks.
That is correct, plus the committee. But then there's no record that it was actually brought to the full board. There's no meeting minutes. I couldn't find anything.
Maybe we should look that up and see what we can find, see if there was an error somewhere.
We did look it up. Stacy and I looked it up, and it's just missing information. So we can't find where it was ever put through a meeting and then followed up on, right? I mean, that day that we looked at it,
Right, so it was passed by the committee. So it was signed by the committee and then the chair and the clerk, but it wasn't a full board. I would think that it would be a full board when it's getting posted.
If the county board chair and the clerk signed it, I would say it went through the full board. And that's, somehow, I mean, sometimes there's papers here. I don't have that answer, but it should be looked up.
Yes, I don't know on what scale.
that's
If it-
where a recording would come in handy.
I was gonna say, look at YouTube.
I just think that should be looked into, like how many are on.
Yes. Good point.
Yeah, we want to make sure we're legal.
Anybody else have anything? If not, thank you for your valuable time. Meeting adjourned. We'll see you next Thursday.
What